next one from the Daily Nation, and this is a story that has been about the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, where the court leader Raila Odinga has demanded that that TJRC report be handed to the members of parliament. What has been happening, Jared, let me start with you, with the TJRC reports? A lot of reports have been coming out that some things were expunged from that. What is the status?
Well, the Kiplagat Commission went around and took views on Kenyans. You remember this was part of the Agenda 4 during the Grand Coalition government's negotiation by the team that was mandated, commonly known as the Serena Talks team.
Yes.
So part of Agenda 4 was to also look at certain historical injustices that were meted on the Kenyan people that have actually caused a lot of friction and division and political unrests. And each time you therefore see various communities presenting their candidates for presidential bid, it is because they know that it is only from their own people that they are safeguarded, that they are insulated against persecution, that they have common leverage over others on terms of jobs and many other things. And Raila Odinga, being the Prime Minister, part of the team of two, him and the former President Mwai Kibaki, who actually received that report, even though it was said quite well that it was intoxicated, it was changed to suit certain political affiliations. It was certain names were expunged from the report who were actually then fixed into that report. So when therefore Raila Odinga goes to a place like Narok for a burial, and he knows that Maasai community, or the Ma community as is commonly called, were part of the part of the persecution. Many people who were in Laikipia, for instance, and were forcefully moved to Narok, and therefore left their homes and their property there. And that formed part of that report. So Raila Odinga, being a politician, had to put the president in bad light with the Ma community, because we are in a political season, we are in an electioneering mood. So he then got the best platform ever to reintroduce the issue of the Truth and Justice report, so that the Maasais can as well know who then moved them away from Laikipia and many areas and Naivasha to Narok, so that they could be crowded in one place and hence, leverage themselves against the little resources available. So I think Raila reintroduced that topic to put the government in bad light, and of course to fix the president. And sadly, the president accepted to play in Odinga's hands in that funeral. I know we will be coming back to...
We'll be coming back to that banter, presidential banter. Dismas, what should happen concerning the TJRC report?
Well, Ben, first of all, this concept of TJRC is borrowed from South Africa. And the big difference is that in South Africa, they were only looking for the truth and reconciliation. And that's the entire body that Desmond Tutu presided over. But when it came to Kenya, they said, wait a minute, let's all add the concept of justice. And some of the findings were very shocking. That from the time we got independence, the state has not always worked for Wanjiku, but the state has worked for a few beneficiaries, a few of the key political leadership, especially the public service, as well as the presidency. And to that extent, people became a bit nervous that if you release out this kind of reports, then how is the nation going to react? And you even recall on a very critical section on the issue of land, some 3 commissioners who are non-Kenyans, they actually refused to sign, because the kind of recommendations at the end of the day which they were told to append their signature were not consistent with their findings. So they got into a bit of trouble and they refused to sign. So throwing the entire process into some sort of a commotion and into a disarray. And the reason why Mr. Raila Odinga is bringing up this issue, he knows for a fact that if we open up that report and you start discussing it, it's going to give him a bit of political mileage. So he's not doing this simply because he loves the Ma community or he loves the poor voter, no. Because he knows that he wants to challenge the presidency to release the report today. And he knows for a fact that a number of people today holding key positions in government have been mentioned in that report, and they would not want it, they would not want that report to be released today. So essentially, he knows for a fact he was in government, and if he wanted the report released out, when he received it with President Kibaki, he would have accelerated the process for it to be discussed.
Right.
But knowing then he was in government, he did not want to fall into trouble, and he said, let me wait for somebody else, and now he's pushing President Kenyatta to the corner.
All right, you can. We shall be dissecting that report a bit in details at 9 p.m. on our Sunday edition of